A very, very dangerous thing is happening in Britain. We are being turned into a cashless society. Ask yourselves this. Who does a cashless society benefit? Big business? Big corporation? Big banks? Fraudsters? Totalitarian regimes? It gives total control to all the wrong people and leaves you totally at their mercy. That is why GB News is launching its Don't Kill Cash campaign. We want to stand up against tyranny and stand up for vulnerable people. We are witnessing right now that banks will close the accounts of people who go against the establishment agenda. Just look at what's happening to Nigel Farage and a whole host of other anti-establishment figures who are coming out of the woodwork now. We've seen governments freeze people's assets if they went against the lockdown nonsense. We've seen companies like PayPal do the same. How long will it be before people get their assets frozen because they don't go along with the LGBTQ+ agenda, or if they say the wrong thing about mass immigration? We are hurtling towards a Chinese-style social credit system whereby good citizens are allowed to receive money and bad ones have it taken off them. It quite literally buys compliance, it buys silence, it buys obedience, it buys control. I don't want to live in a society where you're one wrong word away from being bankrupt. I don't dare say that you do either. This is a way of financially excluding people, and this is important, turning people into non-people. The left get very energised about people being financially excluded from society. Well, they should be piping up about this. But this campaign isn't just about stopping the asphyxiating hand of totalitarian tyranny, no. It's also about standing up for the rights of the marginalised. Cash is a lifeline for the elderly. Many older people struggle with online banking. For a lot of elderly people who can still drive, they rely on being able to park their car up in a town centre and going for a little walk to keep themselves stimulated and to meet people. But now parking meters are going fully cashless. This means grandmas and granddads around the country will have to try to use phone apps to pay online, and that is completely unfair. It will trap them in their own homes and make them feel less a part of society than many of them, sadly, already do. We should be enabling the elderly, not shunning them. What about people in rural communities as well, with poor broadband or mobile connectivity? Cash can keep struggling rural communities going, the cogs of the local economy turning. And going digital will put a big spoke in the wheel. What about the homeless? They survive by people walking past and just giving them a bit of spare change, maybe even a note if they're lucky. If we're all walking around with digital wallets, then what happens to them? Do they just starve or freeze on the streets? But also, think about this. If all of your currency is online, then that is a complete gift for online fraudsters. You might wake up one morning and someone's completely cleaned you out and you haven't got any cash to fall back on. Well, what do? You're screwed. Cash is also sentimental. It has sentimental as well as monetary value. There is something very special about getting a £5 note in a birthday card, isn't there? Or the tooth fairy leaving a couple of quid under your pillow as a child. I mean, it's also a great way of keeping the Queen's memory alive. GB News' Don't Kill Cash campaign is calling on the government to introduce legislation committing to protect the status of cash as legal tender and as a widely accepted means of payment in the UK until at least 2050.